like everybody else. My kids will tell you when they were, yep, uh, they've gotten sick from eating too much fruit though. How? Okay. So, I had nothing but fruits and fruit juices in my fridge when my kids were growing up. My son will tell you there was never any good food in our cabinets. Didn't have all that stuff. We had fruits, a lot of them, and we had protein, and that was it. Now, both of my kids ended up with insulin resistance. I ended up with insulin resistance, and it causes a ton of problems. So, if we want to eat to reduce our insulin, we need to do these three. I'm going to talk about four things first. There's six simple tips that I give to control them, which is, let's slow down a second. Insulin is a fat storage hormone. And yeah, society shows us that, Jenny, but is that really what's healthy? That's a marketing ploy, right? It's an immediate spike in your blood glucose. Yeah, Breeze, and so have I. Top metabolic scientist in the world directly states opposite of what you're stating. Dr. Yao will state this opposite of what you're stating. Dr. Fox state the exact opposite. So that's fine for you. Go do that. But the people who are here, I want them to have some real information from scientists who have devoted their life to this mission of taking care of insulin and our metabolism. So that's where we're at now. Where was I at? Yeah, that fruit juice immediately spikes your blood sugars, and that makes a spike of insulin. Um, Yep, Jenny, I agree. We all trusted somebody who told us what we needed to do. I had all the fruit juice, like my kids, we didn't have all those extra things. We just had fruits, fruit juices, some vegetables, some proteins, but a lot of fruit because they weren't getting sugar in other ways. And so, they loaded. And my son to this day was like, fruits are the best thing. And then I've been educating him, and he's been seeing, okay, maybe not. So they no longer have fruit juice in their home either, because when you're seeing 6-year-olds with non-alcoholic fatty liver disease and they trace that back to high levels of fruit in their diet, yeah, there's a problem. There is a problem there. So insulin eating to get your insulin down. How many of you guys want to? Yeah, I used to love like apple juice, orange juice, cranberry juice was my go-to. I was never a big fruit eater, but I liked like cranberries and pomegranates. I loved not apples. I do love apples, but pineapple and bananas, those were my fruits. And I don't eat them very much anymore. Yeah, apple cider. Yeah. Now, apple cider vinegar though is healthy for you because that doesn't have all the sugars in it. So apple cider vinegar, let's not get that confused for people out there who are seeing that. I almost did. But yeah, apple cider was an amazing treat this time of year, right? So, to keep those things down, you guys, yeah, tea is much better. We drink a tea, Jenny, that helps keep our insulin levels down, but whew, I'm off track now. The grapefruit debate. It always happens. It always happens. You guys, I'm not saying fruits are bad. I'm saying they're bad in high amounts. When somebody comes in and says, all you got to do is eat a ton of fruits and you'll get better, then that just is not. So Breeze, again, my granddaughter was eating nothing but fruits and she ended up with prediabetes. I had her stop and go to this, and she no longer has diabetes. So yeah, I guess you can take it and go educate people on your way. That's fine. So absolutely, the fruit, you guys, and that's maybe Jenny has lost 25 pounds on the system that I'm going to be talking about. Amazing, Jenny. And how do you feel so far? How's the rest of your health feeling? So you guys, when we're doing the calorie or insulin debate, what I want to talk to you about is that all calories are not equal, right? Um, they're just not. You're missing nutrients in some calories for the amount of calories that they have are spiking your insulin far more than other calories. Fiber has calories, but it doesn't spike your insulin. It actually helps bring your insulin down. The rest of the calories in that fruit or vegetable are what's going to spike your insulin. Fats have a lot of calories. They don't spike your insulin. And remember, you don't store fat if you don't have insulin in your body. Okay. So we want to keep the insulin down. It's not just about the calories. That's such a damaging point that people try to make. And I'm going to look, because I have not found any studies that show that eating every 2 hours helps you. So does timing matter? Okay. So eating every 2 hours. Good morning, Lori. Eating every 2 hours. How many of you guys, if you think that eating every 2 hours helps you with your metabolism, drop a 2 in the chat. Does eating every 2 hours help your metabolism? Drop a 2 if it's a yes. Okay. Because this is another one we want to talk about. Because I hear people all the time say, eat before you're hungry. Eat before you get hungry, so overeat. Eat before you're hungry to help your metabolism. Eat every 2 hours because that's going to help your metabolism. Okay. How many of you guys, that's what we were taught, 6 to 8 small meals. Do you know that Dr. Fung and Dr. Bickman have found that when we look at people who were told eat 6 to 8 small meals, they eat more like 12 to 16 times a day. What is important in that is you need to understand that every time you eat, you're spiking your insulin. Every time you eat, your body is jumping up with insulin. Kevin, you're amazing, right? So you should do a 12 to 16 hour fast. 14-hour is minimal. 16 hours is great, but do that every day. Give your body a rest from the insulin. So we have two primary hormones that are addressing our weight. Insulin is the fat storage hormone, and glucagon is a fat burning hormone. But the thing is insulin is like a bully, and it takes over glucagon. So if insulin is out in your body, the fat burning hormone kind of gets slammed down and says, you can't come out because I'm storing fat. So as long as you're having insulin in your body, glucagon doesn't get to come out, and now you're having troubles burning fat. You may be losing muscle because you're not getting nutrients to those. You may be losing weight in that way, but you're not losing as much fat as if you just get the insulin down. Yeah, Kevin, it's amazing. The system that I'm going to talk about in just a second, I found it here on TikTok too. I worked in medical for years. I worked with hormone clinics. We did all the stuff trying to figure out my weight and my health issues. And my doctor actually told me there was nothing that she could do for me. That was just my genetics, my body type, my genetic type. I was just always going to be sick and fat, and there was nothing she was going to be able to do to help me. Do I still have some excess weight? Yes. Hormones are still at play, right? I'm 59. But what got me over all of the stuff up here was addressing my insulin, which none of the doctors that I worked with ever talked to me about that. I heard an interesting thing from a doctor this morning, and she said, with all of the education that she got, all of the education, they never talked about insulin. So she never addressed it in her clinic. And then when she did find out about insulin, she started realizing it takes a lot of education and a lot of care to get people to understand insulin. So when a doctor has hundreds of patients they're seeing in a day, and I worked in clinics where we saw over 200 patients a day for one physician, do you think they have time to educate you on all the stuff we're talking about in here? Do they have the patience or the time to do that? Or is it easier for them to go, here's a prescription, take that, I'm on to the next patient? They don't have time, and they don't want to take the time to educate you about this, most doctors, okay? So there are some good doctors, or some doctors that are not so good, and it's just the way it is. That's the way life is. That's the way people are, attorneys, bankers, educators, whatever. There's some, you're going to find the ones you fit with. But so Kevin went from 321 to 264 in 4 months. Amazing, amazing work. So you guys, I want you to understand, if you're doing this time-based eating of intermittent fasting, and I get so forgetful sometimes. and you're not just paying attention to calories, and you're paying attention to the foods I'm going to tell you about, you will start to get better, not just lose weight. So your doctor was excited? Yeah, my doctor was like, "Wow." She I have one of my doctors, we've been friends for 15 years, and she's seen the change, and the biggest change that excited her the most was the drop in my blood pressure that she had been working on for years, and we couldn't get under control with medications. And I got it under control by addressing my insulin, and now she's excited. Jen, I hope that she tries it. I hope encourage her to do it for 90 days. The doctors who have been consistent and tried the system for 90 days have been excited about what's happening, and they're now prescribing it to their patients because it is prescribable. So let's go on, and I want to talk foods that are good for insulin. I know I've rushed through a lot of stuff. So those of you who've hung out, let's dive in. Ooh, 11:11 over here. Okay, so insulin foods. You guys ready for the top foods that are going to help you with your insulin resistance and help you become insulin sensitive? Are you guys ready? You got a pen and paper? I should try and do a video on this. I will try to do a video on this later today or this week. So let's go. We're going to talk about fiber. Fiber is key in helping you become insulin sensitive. Fiber, 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 fiber is a superhero, and it's a nutrient that we're missing and we're not paying attention to. But it's not just psyllium husk or those fibers that you find in the canister. It's specific fibers. You guys need a variety of fibers, soluble and insoluble, to help start getting this blood sugar under control and allow it to not spike. I'm up in Maryland, Jenny. Welcome from Houston, though. Yeah, I grew up in North Idaho, Eastern Washington, and I moved to Maryland a year ago. And you guys, coming from the West Coast, I thought it was going to be horrible. I love it out here. It's amazing. It's beautiful. The area I live in reminds me of home, only it's deciduous trees instead of evergreen. Okay, off topic. All right, the foods. I know you guys are waiting on it. So, fiber, right? And we're gonna show you in just a minute what Jenny and I are doing, because I know that in my busy life and in my fridge, I'm tired of throwing stuff out and trying to figure out, having all the right fibers, because I used to do that. I supplement to make sure that I get the fibers in I need, and it's been working tremendously. So, fibers first, right? Then you want to prioritize protein, at least 30 grams to 40 grams in a sitting, because we are not getting in enough protein. My daughter is studying to be a nutritionist right now, and so she shares everything with me. There was some information in her nutritionist course that said that when we're getting in like 8, 10, 12 grams of protein, and we're thinking we're getting in this protein because you're eating every 2 hours, your body doesn't synthesize or metabolize that protein and utilize it as the building blocks we need to until you hit at least about 20 grams of protein. And even that's not enough to start building healthy muscle. And I'm not talking about bodybuilder muscle. I'm talking about healthy lean tissue on your body. Muscle burns more fat, utilizes insulin better than fat does. Fat's just kind of storing it and sending out some other cues that are increasing other hormones that are causing problems. We want muscle up and fat down. So you've got to get in enough protein. Protein's going to help you with your weight loss. It's going to help you build that muscle that's going to eat up that insulin when you do eat. Okay, and it's not really the insulin, it's the energy the insulin is carrying. So protein, 30 to 40 grams in a sitting is minimum. If you're highly active, and a bigger like guy, you probably want to get in more than that. But for most of us, 30 to 40 grams is what we need to aim for. And so protein sources, let's talk about that too. So according to Bickman and Fung, some of the best protein sources are going to be beef. Grass-fed beef is amazing for your insulin sensitivity. It is not causing all the problems that some people would try to tell you that it's causing. So beef, chicken, and salmon are the top 3 proteins that you should be getting in, beef being the primary one. Um, you know what? 30 grams of protein. So a chicken breast, a chicken breast that's a little bit bigger than the size of my fist would be about 30 grams of protein. There's tons of trackers out there that you can plug this stuff into. You can actually just Google, Stephen. You can Google how much protein is in a 6-ounce steak, and it will tell you. Because it's so easy now. It should be the grass-fed beef if you can. Not everybody can, right? So start moving towards beef and get to the grass-fed when you can. That's what I'm going to say. I want this to be sustainable. I don't want this to be something that people are like, "Oh my God, it's just more rules that I can't keep up with." I want you to start the journey. I don't want you to get stub your toe on too many rules. I want you to start the journey. Of course, if you can do, more organic type foods, the better, right? But just start with beef, chicken, and salmon. Those are your top proteins. Now, turkey is okay, but why is turkey not on the top of the list for me? Because it's too lean. You need fats. That's going to be the next nutrient we're going to talk about. Turkey, and then pork is on the bottom of my list because for the amount of protein you're getting, it's converting more into glucose than the other proteins. So yes, your proteins convert into glucose too. They just convert about half as much as your fruits and vegetables. But pork carries the highest carb load of all of those meats. So beef, salmon, probably second for me, chicken, but I'm a big chicken eater, so I don't follow this exactly because I eat a lot of chicken. But those are the top three, and then turkey. But if you're going to have turkey, make sure you're adding fats to it because it's very lean. And then pork, higher in fats, but also higher in carbohydrates than the other meats. Okay. So fats are the next thing. You have to pair fats with your protein in order for you to metabolize, utilize, and build your protein in your system the most correctly. So the fats that are good for you to help you become insulin sensitive are olive oil, extra virgin olive oil, avocado oil. I love that, Jenny. Jenny says she eats so much chicken she's starting to see features, right? Um, so extra virgin olive oil, avocado oil, coconut oil, ghee, butter. Now, if it's butter, make sure that it's the whole milk butter. That sounds counterintuitive, but you want to eat the whole milk, whole fat butter. I use whole whipping cream in my shakes in the morning to help with my satiety and the protein that I am eating because I want those healthy fats in, and my mental clarity is better. My pain levels are down. My energy levels are up when I use those fats. MCT oils are absolutely great. MCTs are a derivative of coconut oils. So if you want the direct effects of MCT, which are great for your metabolism and your brain, then you can add some MCT into your coffee or tea or into any of your meals, but you don't have to subsist on MCT all the time. If you're just doing regular cooking and whatnot, use those other oils, but absolutely MCT is something I want people to focus on as well. Yes, I fast. I fast every day, and then I've done some crazy other fasts. Remind me later. We'll talk about some of the fasting things that I play with. Good morning, Farah. So, those are fiber, right? Fiber first. Protein, we named the proteins. Now, if you're vegan, tofu and tempeh, but you guys, I'm not a big fan of those either because of the way they're processed. But if that's where you're at, that's where you're at. Hey, Bruce from Aurelia, Ontario, Canada. Hey, I love fasting too. So I woke up today and I woke up, this is what I said. I woke up and I chose violence because I'm going to do a 36-hour fast today. I'm just, you know what? I feel like it's just time to get some of that autophagy in to kind of do the reset. So I'm having my tea, which does not break my fast. And yeah, I'm going to fast until tomorrow because my grandson's going to be here. And I know that my eating's not going to be as perfect tomorrow. So why not start off with a fast and clear some cells out and be ready for the havoc that is tomorrow when my grandson comes. So yeah, I love fasting. A 36-hour fast, by the way, is easy, but let's finish up with the foods, you guys. My computer keeps shutting down because I'm talking, but I'm not hitting the keyboard. And really, I say this every day. I need to fix that so those people on Facebook are not getting shut down every 10 minutes. There we are. Okay, so fiber, protein, fats, then you want to limit your carbs. Now, according to Dr. Bickman, what we want to do is we want to focus on vegetables, right? We want to focus on vegetables that grow above ground. That's an easy measure. You guys can remember that, right? Focus on the ones that grow above ground. So yeah, that means carrots are probably not the top of the list. Potatoes are probably not the top of the list. You know, those root vegetables, they have been so modified that fibers have been stripped out and they're just high in starches and sugars now. So focus on greens, actually all the vegetables that are above ground vegetables. Um, that's your goal. Okay. That's where your carbohydrates should be coming from. And then limit those fruits. So berries, 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 berries. Why berries? Because they're higher in fiber, they're lower in sugar, so you're not having the insulin spike as much. But there's one fruit that I've learned to love even more than berries. Does anybody know what that fruit is? Anybody take a guess? He might know. Because there's one fruit. When I listened to Dr. Lee, who wrote Food as Medicine, when I listen to him, it's absolutely pears, Lori. Like if I could give you a prize, I would say that. Kiwi is another one that's great, but pears are the top of the list. High in fiber, low in fructose. And they have this thing in them. They're one of the highest fruits in this, and it's amazing for your metabolism and your brain, and it's called chlorogenic acids. Pears are the top of my list and then berries. Yep, Kevin, that's amazing. Yes, pears are so amazing for you guys. Like I've taught my grandson to eat pears too because I used to keep oranges and stuff for him. And now I have pears and he looked at me funny at first because he's 7 and he hadn't seen them before, but now he goes to the fridge and looks for his pear. So, and I usually serve them up with our breakfast. We'll have like sausage and eggs, bacon and eggs, steak and eggs for breakfast, and I'll put a pear sliced up on the side for the end of the meal. Um, Jenny, what time do you have to work, hon? Pears, if you're getting pears, it depends on what your keto is, hon. If you are under 20 grams of carbohydrates, you're going to have any of the vegetables in the day. Pears are probably not going to match that. So again, put it to a food tracker. But if you want to sneak in a fruit, pears are amazing. Okay, because the high fiber content and the high chlorogenic acid content is going to make that sugar act differently in your body than other sugars. This is where we go back to: are we eating for calories, or are we eating to restrict calories, or are we eating to restrict insulin? Because calories, when we're talking about calories and carbohydrates, they act very differently in the body. You guys, that just brings up something. How many of you guys have been told, because my gym guy and nutritionist and whatnot tell you that those diet sodas and those things are good for you? They're not going to spike your insulin because they don't have sugar in them. How many of you guys have been told that you're sick with the diet sodas and stuff? What I want to tell you is nectar. Yep, yep. There's a lot of things we all used to eat that we are now like, oh man, remember when the food pyramid was the exact opposite of it is now? They've now kind of turned it on its head. Um, yeah, sodas. Yes, we're going to go right now, TB. Um, Sodas will actually spike your insulin, even though there's no sugar, because it elicits a hormonal response in your body that then kicks insulin into gear. And so your insulin goes up, even though they don't have sugar in them. So I know they're great because you feel like, oh, I'm not getting calories in. Again, calorie myth, but they can actually spike your insulin. So I would rather have my tea that tastes sweet on its own and club soda. If it doesn't have sweeteners in it, it's okay. But the fizzy, remember your teeth and stuff, the fizzy is going to start to wear down your teeth. And I will do a video on, which one was I going to do a video on today? I'll do some videos today anyway. Okay, so the system that I'm doing, because I know a lot of you guys have to go and I want to get to this, and then we're going to talk some more about whatever you guys want to talk about. What I'm doing, what Jenny's doing, what's been helping us is this system called the Feel Great system. It's a tea that we drink in the morning, which is what I'm having now. I'll have it all day on my fast because it does not break my fast. Because spike my insulin, it's allowing my insulin to stay down and the fat burning hormone glucagon to stay up. It actually helps glucagon do its job. Then when I eat, I do, remember I said fibers. This has 7 different soluble and insoluble fibers in it that are going to help me get those fibers in first without thinking about it. I do this. I take about this much water. I put this fiber in there, shake it up. Look, lid's not on. And drink about 10 minutes before I eat. Why this? Because it's allowing this action in my gut to happen. It's making this gel matrix that swells up, starts to make me feel full before I even eat. But that same gel matrix, when you do eat, now those sugars that have been unwrapped from fibers by the food industry are getting doused in fiber. So it's slowing down how quickly the sugar system, allowing you to reduce the insulin spike, keep the blood sugars down, keep the insulin, and now you're more insulin sensitive. So if you're having like a high pasta meal, because I'm not a pasta eater, but I know about a lot of people who love them, you can have 2 packets of it because it's real food. It will reduce your blood sugar spike by 27 to 28%, which is huge. So huge. Oh my God, I'm so sorry for all of you guys who don't like him, but it just came through my head. So from Latvia, how about cortisol when on fasting? So if you are problems with cortisol when you're fasting, you're probably actually having an insulin problem as well. Insulin and cortisol, insulin and estrogen, insulin and leptin, insulin and ghrelin, they have this positive negative energy exchange. Okay, so cortisol from being stressed, from being in abusive relationships, from not getting enough sleep, all the electronics and all the time, that can rise your insulin. But if your insulin is constantly high, it can elevate your cortisol slightly and make elevated time. So helping you with the insulin and getting you, so that's a good point though. Getting enough sleep and doing meditation, keeping away from toxic people. You guys, what is it with toxic people in our lives? I got a couple of toxic people out of my life in the last couple of weeks, and I'm like, woohoo, life is better. Cortisol is huge, but fasting is necessarily driving your cortisol up unless if you're not having high levels of insulin, especially a 14 to 16 hour fast. There is this thing called the dawn phenomenon, and people get confused by that. All right. So they're multiplying, they're everywhere. It's like the narcissism is the new COVID, right? Narcissism is the new COVID. I wish we had a vaccine for that, but we just don't. All right. So dawn phenomenon, and then wait, I gotta go back to this. You guys, I'm all over the place today. The tea in the morning, the 2 pre-meal drink. Go to my bio, tap on that link. You'll find the very top option there is where to buy it. It's $5 a day. You get me for coaching. You are not doing this alone. You get a 90-day money back guarantee if you do this and it's not helping you. That we have a guarantee that if you start this and you do it like it's supposed to be done, within those 90 days, your A1C, your blood glucose, and your blood lipids will go down. Yes, we can measure it. It's that strong. It's that important. It's that freaking amazing. And because it's addressing the insulin, all of these things people have been getting better from as they're addressing their insulin levels. So to my profile, it's there. You guys, if you're not doing it, you need to be doing it because this is what's been stripped out of our doctors do not for 90 days. But Jenny, the system, you know that the system is prescribable. It's found in the PD. It's some of the only real food products in the prescriber's digital reference. So if you're doing the system and you have a doctor, this is my day, by the way. This is what I carry around and keep with me, and then some water, and that's all I have to do. Okay. So if you get your doctor on board with you and they're like, so I hope your doctor's writing a prescription for you. You can utilize the system. Doctor writes a prescription. You turn in your receipts from the system up to your doctor or to your insurance, and a number of insurances have been covering it because it is prescribable. So so there's that. Yes, and I've heard that too. I don't have an account, but you guys, yes, because it is prescribable. If you have a flex spending account and you're like, well, how am I going to do this? How many of you guys use up your flex spending account in a year? Most people don't. You can buy this with your flex spending, okay? So 90 days guarantee. It's prescribable. It's in the prescriber's digital reference. There's a whole science website. All this works, and studies with places like the Cleveland Clinic, BYU, the American Heart Association, the American Diabetes Association. Yeah. Most people don't use up their flex spending, so you can use it to get the system that's actually going to change your health. Okay. So that's where you guys are going to get it. Now, we were talking about dawn phenomenon. So when we talk about cortisol, sometimes people will wake up in the morning and they're doing their fast, right? And you're in that kind of fasted state, and you're wanting to check your levels, like your ketones or your cortisol or whatever. Your cortisol is high in the morning. A lot of times, if it's not lack of, it's just the dawn phenomenon. Does anybody know what the dawn phenomenon is and why your cortisol goes up? Because I'm more than happy to go over that. If you don't know what the dawn phenomenon is, why it affects your cortisol, why it affects your blood sugars, put a 1 in and I'll go over it. But it is important, you guys, to keep your cortisol under control because it does have a negative feedback loop with insulin. So, okay, thanks, you guys. So the dawn phenomenon looks like this. Cortisol elicits our fight or flight response in our body, right? Kimberly, you're absolutely right. So fight or flight is when our body is ready to go. So it releases more sugar into your bloodstream so you have energy. It opens up your blood vessels. It gets your heart pumping a little bit quicker. Remember, I puts more sugar in the bloodstream. So when you wake up in the morning, what's happening is your body says, oh, this person gets up at 5 o'clock, at 6 o'clock, whatever time of day they normally get up, and your body's innately intelligent. Never forget that. So your body's going to go, hey, it's that time of day. She needs to wake up. Cortisol is going to start to spike because it needs to get blood sugar out. It needs to get energy out. It needs to get your vessels opened up. It needs to get your heart moving so that you can wake up. How many of you guys have woken up to an alarm when you weren't ready to wake up and you're just groggy and it feels like it's hard to get going? As opposed to when you naturally wake up, you're like, oh, I'm ready for the day. We got energy. Let's go. That's the dawn phenomenon. When you're waking up to an alarm and you're not ready to wake up, that cortisol hasn't been spiked in your system yet. So your body hasn't woken up. Okay. So if you're allowing yourself, like I woke up at 6 this morning because I've been sleeping a little later. I've got a lot going on. But I woke up and I'm laying there and I'm like, man, I just kind of want to lay here for a little while longer. And I'm like, nope, my mind's awake. My body's awake. Let's get up. Let's get something done. Utilize it. My body was ready because the cortisol got released in my body because that's the time of day I normally get up. And it was like, it's time to go. So that dawn phenomenon can happen. So if you're having high blood sugars in the morning, it's likely a response of the dawn phenomenon. I'm not talking 240, 260 high blood sugar. I'm talking about slightly elevated blood sugars and you're frustrated. Maybe they're 120, 105 in the morning. They're just not under 100. And you're like, why are my blood sugars high every morning? Well, what if you did 2 hours after you woke up and tried your blood sugars again? They're probably normalized down to under 100 at that point. Because the cortisol levels are coming down, you're waking up, your body's like, okay, we're up and we're ready to go. We don't have to have this nudge that pushes us off the ledge to get us out of bed. That's kind of a very simple explanation of the dawn phenomenon. Yep, it does happen so your body can wake up and get going, or we would just be groggy, sluggy all day long. So if you're concerned about that, blood sugar in the morning, know that that could be a part. My blood sugars in the morning run 102 to 105, and it frustrated me for a long time until I started just really embracing the dawn phenomenon. Then I would start checking my blood sugars about 2 hours after I woke up, and now they're down to like 88, 90 a couple hours after I wake up. Perfect, right? But in the morning, my body's like, get this woman up. She doesn't want to get up, get her up. So excess sugar, excess cortisol. Okay. Timing. I do want to go over timing because I want to dispel some myths a little bit here, you guys. It's so simple and it's so easy. And when I see creators who are like the creator that pops up in my life every day, is always talking about eat every 2 hours, eat before you're hungry, shut down your hunger before you overeat, and that's going to help your metabolism. Yeah, wrong. There's no scientific studies to that. In fact, this intermittent fasting that we talk about is helpful, and we're going to go over why right now. So when you have high levels of insulin in your body, you are not break down fat. You're encouraging more fat storage, and you're in this negative feedback loop that's causing all of this stuff going on up there. Insulin, high levels of insulin is that. So insulin is a hormone that's elicited every time you eat. Insulin comes out because your body is creating energy when you eat, and insulin is the hormone that carries it. That's not necessary though. Okay, so let me work through that, Jenny. Like if you want to switch your if you want to do that, what I would say is this. There's some differing opinions on it. Like one of the reasons we do the 16-8 fast where we eat at noon and at dinner time is simply because that's what works for most families. How many families wake up and have breakfast together? Yeah, no. I'm trying to give a real response to it. Okay. So there is some evidence about eating earlier in the day and not eating later in the day. Has to do with your gut work, has to do with the cortisol, not the response, but the sugar response and all of that in your body. Do the 16-8 fast week because it makes it easier for people to sit down and have their fast. Can you imagine doing a fast? You finally get your whole family together, everyone is sitting around the table eating and not. That's part of the 12 to 6 p.m. kind of eating window. But if that's not a concern for you, and I started doing that this year, you can do your eat in the morning and still keep your 6 to 8 hour window, but start in the morning and then stop your eating by like, what's it going to be, 2 to 4 p.m.? Now, there is some efficacy to having that food being moved through your body, that you're going to bed and your gut's no longer working on digesting, so you're resting better. There is some stuff about that, but it's up to you guys to do what fits for your life. And it's not sustainable and it's something that you can do it's not going to work for you. So if having dinner with your family is important, then do that type of fasting and do it with your family. If you're not having those family dinner times, like I don't, then yeah, you can have it and do your eating window in the morning. You're still getting 6 hours of fasting. The first part of your fasting just happens to be in the evening. You sleep off the last part of it. Wake up, have protein, fats, and fiber. You can do that. Absolutely. That's why it's so important to have a coach with this system, because there are all these questions that you might not know. And you're like, hey, what if? And think, if we know, and we can do the company, and by the way, Dr. Bickman helped with this whole system because of his work with metabolism. But we can go get the answers if we don't know, because How many people know everything they need to know? Even doctors. You guys know that a lot of times, because I worked for a number of doctors, it's not like they know everything off the top of their head. They come in, if there's something, they'll go look it up and they'll come back with you with an answer. Okay. Everybody can't know everything all the time. So as coaches, part of our job is to go find you the answers if we need to, and have the answers that we can and help you out. So yeah, Jenny, try it and see how that works for you. So there's another thing that happens to you guys when your body is converting glucose. So that comes into the timing, right? So the thing that I want you to understand though is first thing in the morning, kind of goes along with one phenomenon thing. Your body is converting more of the food you eat into glucose first thing in the morning than it will at midday. And it's converting more in the evening or causing a more higher insulin spike in the evening. Midday is probably about the best time of day for the lowest amount of glucose conversion in your body. So in the morning, that's when it's really important to not be leaning on things like oatmeal and cereals, because all high in glucose, they're in fiber, they're low in protein. Now you're spiking your glucose even higher because your body, okay, we need to, fuel up the day, but it really doesn't. If you add on it, and you're doing fasting, you're safe. But protein, and fats first in the morning help keep sugar down, help keep the insulin down. The second meal, then have the higher glucose. I did it again. I swear to goodness, I'm going to fix this today. Um, so the higher glucose stuff in your second meal, where now you've woken up, you've allowed those proteins and fats to get in. Also, you guys, when you're eating things like high carbohydrate foods, that kind of cues your body to be like, this is what we're going to live on today. And so it starts to digest and look for more carbohydrates. When you start off with fats and protein, your body's going, oh, this is what we're using for fuel today. And you'll find you crave more protein and fats today if you start with protein and fats. If you start with carbohydrates, now you're constantly craving for more sugar and simple carbohydrates. Keep that in mind too. All right. So you guys, we're talking about insulin resistance. We're talking about weight gain. That leads into all of these things. But also understand, it used to be said that to lose weight, get your insulin down. It's kind of yes, no. So insulin is what's causing you to gain weight. Insulin is what's preventing you from losing weight. But when you have excess fat, it actually does send out chemical messengers that actually increase your insulin level in your body. So too much fat can make you more insulin resistant, but we've got to get the insulin under control in order to even lose the weight. And is going to talk about making better food choices, fiber first, proteins, fats, and limit your carbs. And your carbs should really be vegetables, right? Things that are grown above ground. That's not saying you can't have potatoes every once in a while. You can't have carrots sometimes. You can't have bread or stuff sometimes. I'm not saying that, but limit them, okay? So that fiber, protein, fats, limit the carbohydrates. And definitely limit fruits. I know that triggers so many people when I say that, but it is what it is. One thing I didn't mention earlier when we had the fruit person in here is a lot of nutrition books, a lot of that you have to understand are funded by the food industry, right? So what they're going to tell you in those books and the science, you guys, science, and yes, this goes to ours too, right? But science is subjective. So what you don't understand is that a lot of scientific studies. I have a friend who actually worked for a clearinghouse who went through the studies, and she told me that one of the big pharmaceutical companies would send studies through to them, and the results studies from maybe 20 studies would come through, and their job was to clear out all of the science that went against what that pharmaceutical company was trying to tell you was good for you. And so out of 20 studies, maybe them actually fell in line with what they were trying to say. And the other 18 that said, don't do this medication, got tossed. But because they funded it, those 2 that went along with what they wanted are what got pushed out. You guys need to understand some of the nuance about this. So yes, you're going to find good and you're going to find bad about anything that you look into out there. But hey, Chizoba, I think. Cynthia, I'm going to call you Cynthia. Good morning. So understand that with science too, that you have to pay attention. I am a very spiritual person, so listen to your intuition as well. If you don't believe what I'm saying, please feel free to go find somebody that's in line with you. But if you feel like this is what's helped you, please dive in and listen. There's a bunch more information on my website. Let's go over. Let's go over one more time where to find all of this stuff. So you guys, if you're interested in the system that I'm doing, it's helping with insulin resistance. There's a couple of things. My book talks about the 6 simple steps. So fiber, protein, fats, limit your carbs. It goes into depth about some of those. You get a list of proteins. You get of fats. So it's a free ebook I give to you guys just because I'm here for it. Okay, I was super sick, and I want everyone else to feel better, just like I was able to do. So we're gonna go here. If you go to my profile, tap on the picture above my, oops, so here you guys, so you get to see the mess on the backside, my business here. Okay, so come to my, let's get rid of that. Okay, you tap on the picture above my live right now. It's going to bring up, tap that again. It'll take you to my profile. Click on this link, and that's going to get you to my landing page. Now over here, you guys, there's the link for Facebook. Okay, let's get back to this. All right, so you might see this little warning thing. It's okay. Linktree is a pretty common platform. So right here at the top is where you're going to order the system. My website, a ton more information, including nutrition panels there. Right below that, you'll see the free ebook, all the other stuff that I'm on, as well as a place to get a hold of me. So use that. Okay. But here, that's where you're going to find the system. It should say Misha at the top. Yay, they finally fixed it. So you guys don't have to be confused anymore. Yay. All right, so Misha Fayant there, and then just click on Buy Now. That's going to take you to the purchase page for this amazing system that saved my life. 30 tea, 60 pre-meal drink. We're just putting back what's been stripped out so we can address the insulin. It's going to give you choice. By the way, the tea you can have hot or cold. You have a choice between lemon, ginger, black, guys. It's more like coffee. It's not coffee. It has the same components as these other teas. It just has a little bit of coffee extract and black tea to make it look and taste more like coffee. Then you're going to select one-time purchase or monthly subscription, and there you go. And then when that happens, you're going to get emails from me. You're going to get text from me. You're going to get a video from me that tells you how to use it. And then you're going to have the opportunity to just work with me directly. Come on. Trying to get some windows closed down. There we are. Okay. So there's that. Now, does anybody have any other questions this morning? I know I kind of jumped around. I was answering a lot of questions for people. And I really want to make sure that everybody has it clear. Some of the stuff that I want to make sure is clear for everyone before I hop off this morning. I will be live at 3 p.m. today. Thursdays, I go live at 3. I'm going to have some more information for you on weight loss and insulin resistance. Every week I go over something different, but I want you to know this. I want you to stop paying attention to calories only. because if you're reducing calories at the risk of reducing protein and fats, you're hurting yourself. Okay. So eat to reduce the insulin, don't eat to reduce the calories. Do some time-based eating. Stop the madness of eating every 2 hours. Every time you eat, you're your insulin, and every time you spike your insulin, you're storing more fat and you're causing more of the system where your body starts to become insulin resistant. So take care of yourself. Um, that ebook goes over the foods you should eat to be insulin sensitive. Okay, so I'm going to say it one more time. You've got to get in fiber first. Fiber is. I'm going to make a picture of fiber with a superhero cape, because fiber is the one nutrient that we are overlooking that can change the entirety of our health. You've got to get in proper amounts of fiber, and most of us, I always talk about not getting in enough protein, but most of us are not getting in enough fiber either, and that's going to be key in you getting better. So fiber, protein, fats, limit your carbs, and if you have questions what those are, text, email me. I'm more than happy to help you out, okay? So I'll see you all at 3 this afternoon, and have a great day. I got to go get some stuff ready because there's just so much going on today. But thanks for everybody who had input. Remember, if you're interested in the system, Facebook, I've dropped the link in. Piera, if I'm saying you guys' name right, I would happy to be your guys' coach. Just go use the link in my that I dropped in there. You guys over here, go to my profile up here, get the system. I'll see that you got it, and then we're going to start having a conversation, and we're going to get you better like I was. I never stop talking. I want you guys to understand I've lost 55 pounds. I went from having a walker, a cane, and disability plates, not being able to go up and down stairs, to I can run up and down stairs, donated the walker and the cane, am not on pain medications, and ditched 10 other medications besides those 3 pain medications. And this is all I did to have all of that. Reduced my blood pressure back to normal range of 112/74 every morning, even with the dawn phenomenon that I talked about. So you guys got to make it. If you're suffering and you want a natural solution, hook up. Let's hook up. Let's get feeling better. And I'll see you this afternoon at 3. Bye, guys.